Hello students, now we are going to learn a lesson in biobotany, that is plant morphology. What is meant by morphology? Morphology is the study of external features of an organism. Plant morphology is the external morphology of the plant. It is the study of external features like shape, size, structure of the plants and their parts like roots, stem, leaves, flowers, fruits and seeds. Why should we learn the morphology of a plant? Morphology of the plant should be learned to understand the importance in taxonomy. Taxonomy is the systematic study of an organism through classification, and it also helps to determine the productivity of the crops. So how to propagate the crops, how to get more production out of it which will benefit human beings. It also helps to indicate the specific habitat of the living as well as the fossil plants. So where do the plants live and where are they come from? So we will able to understand by studying its morphology. We can correlate the distribution of living and the fossil plants. It becomes a very good tool for phylogeny. So phylogeny is to understand the relationship between the organisms, to understand how a particular plant has evolved, to understand the relationship between the organisms which comes in the order of the classification. Plant morphology can be studied under two broad categories, that is vegetative morphology and reproductive morphology. So in this lesson we are going to deal with the vegetative morphology. The vegetative morphology deals with the study of shape, size, structure of the plants and their parts like root, stem, leaves, etc. To understand the vegetative morphology, we need to understand the important components like habitat and lifespan of the organism. Based on the habit, the general form of the plants are classified into herbs, shrubs, climbers and trees. Based on the habitat, they are classified into terrestrial and aquatic. Terrestrial means land plants, aquatic means water plants. Based on the lifespan, they are classified into annuals, biennials and perennials. What are herbs? Herbs are very soft stemmed plants with less wood or no wood. According to the duration of their life, they may be classified into annuals, biennials and perennials. Perennial herbs have a bulb, corm or rhizome or tuber underground stem, and they are termed as geophytes. Example, Allium cepa. Allium cepa is the onion. Since most of the plant parts are under the ground in the soil, they are called as geophytes. What are shrubs? A shrub is a perennial and woody plant with several main stems. So that means branched shoot arising from the ground level itself. Example for this is hibiscus. What are climbers? Climbers have elongated weak stem and generally it will be supported by means of climbing devices, and so they are called as climbers. They are also classified into annuals or perennials. Liana. What is liana? Liana is a vine that is perennial and woody, and they form the top layer of some tropical forest. Example, bougainvillea. Climbers versus liana. So climbers will have some climbing devices to climb over to anchor on to the support, whereas lianas will have the woody stem and they will grow on the tree. Lianas are major components in the tree canopy layer. Climbers would be either herbaceous or woody, whereas lianas will be always woody. Trees. What are trees? A tree is a stout, tall, perennial woody plant having one main stem called trunk with many lateral branches. Example, fig, teak, sapota, mango, etc. If the trunk remains unbranched, then it is called as caudex. Example for this is coconut tree, palmyra tree, etc. According to the plant habitat, they are classified into terrestrial and aquatic. Terrestrial plants are the land plants. Plants growing on the land are called terrestrial plants, and they are classified based on the environmental adaptation. The plants that are living in the water are called as aquatic plants, and aquatic plants are otherwise termed as hydrophytes. Next we have lifespan. Based on the lifespan, plants are classified into three types. They are annuals, biennials and perennials. Annuals are otherwise called as theriophyte or ephemerals. These plants will complete their life cycle in one growing season itself. Example, peas, maize, watermelon, etc. Next, biennials. What are biennials? A plant that lives for 2 seasons, growing vegetative structures in the first season and the flowering and fruiting during the second season. That is reproductive structure in the second season, then it is called as biennials. Example, onion, lettuce, fennel, carrot, radish, etc. What are perennials? A perennial is a plant that grows for many years and it will bear its fruits and flowers for several seasons during its lifespan. When they bear the fruit every year, then they are called as polycarpic perennials. Example, mango, sapota, etc. Whereas some plants produce flowers and fruits only once and die after their vegetative growth of several years. They are called as monocarpic perennials. Example, bambusa, agave, musa, etc. Now parts of a flowering plant. It is classified into root system and shoot system. What is root system? It includes the roots and its lateral branches which lie under the ground. What is shoot system? They include the stem, branches and the leaves which are above the ground. Flowering plants are called as angiosperm or magnoliophytes. They are sporophytic generation of plants consisting of an axis with underground root system and aerial shoot system. What are the characteristic features of a root? A root is the descending portion of the plant axis. It grows down towards the gravity, towards the earth. Generally, they are non-green in color because they lack chlorophyll. Chlorophyll pigments are absent in the root cells. They do not possess nodes, internodes and buds as in the case of stem. They bear root hairs for the absorption of the water and minerals. A root is positively geotropic as it grows towards the earth and negatively phototropic as it grows away from the sunlight in nature. What are the different regions of root? The root tip is covered by a root cap which is dome-shaped structure made up of parenchymatous cells. This is the root cap. This root cap protects the meristematic apex of the root. In a plant called pandanus, the multiple root cap is present. Many root caps will be there. In Pistia, instead of this root cap, it will have a pocket-like structure, root pocket. It is called as root pocket. There are 3 distinct zones in the root tip. They are meristematic zone, zone of elongation and the zone of maturation. The tip region is called as meristematic zone or the region of cell division. The next region is called as region of cell elongation. Next to the cell elongation region, we have the region of maturation. So the meristematic region or the region of cell division lies just above the root cap. The zone of elongation is just above the meristematic zone and the zone of maturation lies above the zone of elongation. What are the types of cells present in these regions? The meristematic region possesses the meristematic cells. They actively divide and continuously increase the number of cells. In the region of elongation, the cells are elongated And in the region of maturation, the mature cells are differentiated according to their function. The cells are differentiated here and they take up a particular function. What is the function of region of cell division? The region of cell division is the growing region, and it helps in the growth of the root and increase the length of the root. Whereas zone of elongation, the cell increase in the length and causes enlargement of the root. And the zone of maturation, the cells are differentiated into various tissues like epidermis, cortex, vascular bundles, etc. And they also produce the root hair for the absorption of the water and minerals from the soil. Types of root system. There are two types of root system, taproot system and fibrous root system. In taproot system, the primary root is the direct continuation, prolongation of the radicle, and this becomes the primary root, and it persists and continues to grow in the dicotyledon plants. It forms a main root and it is called as taproot system. The taproot produces certain lateral roots and further branches into many finer roots, and the lateral roots with its branches are called as the secondary roots. The second root system, fibrous root system, the roots develop from any other part of the plant other than the radicle. Then it is called as adventitious root system or fibrous root system. The roots may develop from the base of the stem or from the nodes or internodes. Example, Piper nigrum. In many monocots, the primary roots of the seedlings are short-lived and they will be replaced by the lateral roots from various regions of the plant body. These roots are bunch of thread-like structures and more or less equal in size. They are nearly equal in size, and they are collectively called as the fibrous root system. Example, grasses, Oryza sativa, rice plant, etc. What are the functions of the root? The functions of the root can be classified into primary function and secondary function. Primary function of the root is to absorb the water and the minerals from the soil, and it also helps to fix the plant in the soil, helps to anchor the plant to the soil. The secondary functions are, in some plants, roots perform additional functions like storage, breathing, etc. According to the function, here they are modified in their structure. Now we shall learn the modification of root for secondary function. Root modification. This is again taproot modification and adventitious modification. We shall see one by one. First, taproot modification. The taproots are modified for two purposes, namely the storage and the breathing. The storage roots are again classified into conical, fusiform and napiform according to the shape. In conical, the roots will be cone-like, broader at the base, and it will be gradually tapering towards the apex. Example, carrot, Daucus carota. In fusiform, the roots will be swollen in the middle and it will be tapering on both the sides. Example, Raphanus sativus, that is radish. In napiform, it is very broad at the apex and suddenly tapers like a tail at the base. Example, Beta vulgaris or beetroot. The second function, according to the second function, that is for breathing purpose, breathing roots are produced in the mangrove plants like Avicennia, Rhizopora, etc. They develop some special kinds of roots which are negatively geotropic. They grow away from the gravity for respiration purpose. Because the soil becomes saturated with the water and the aeration is very poor, these respiratory roots grow away from the soil and they have a number of breathing pores which are called as pneumatophores for the exchange of gases from the atmosphere. Secondly, adventitious root modification for the purpose of storage first. This is again classified into tuberous root, fasciculated root, nodulous root, moniliform root and annulated root. Tuberous root. These roots are swollen without any definite shape. Tuberous roots are produced singly or in clusters. Either it will be single or in clusters. Example, Ipomia batatas, Vallikkilangu they say in Tamil. Fasciculated root, second one. These roots are clustered at the base of the stem. Example, Dahlia asparagus. Moniliform roots or beaded roots. These roots will swell at frequent intervals and they give a beaded appearance. Example, vitis. Nodulous root. In this type of root, the swelling occurs only near the tips. The root will be normal root, only at the tip there will be swelling. Then it is nodulous root. Example, maranta. Arrowroot. Curcuma amada, mango ginger, and curcuma longa turmeric. Finally, annulated root. So annulated root, these roots will have a series of ring-like swelling on their surface at regular intervals. So they are called as annulated root. Example, psychotria. Root modifications for mechanical support. This is also for the adventitious root. Adventitious root modification for mechanical support. First one, prop root. So prop roots are found in the banyan tree. We say virudugal in Tamil. So these roots grow vertically down from the lateral branches of the tree, and they will grow longer when they reach the soil. They fix the root into the soil and gives extra support for the very strong and heavy branches. Example, Ficus bengaliensis. It is banyan tree. Secondly, Indian rubber. Next, stilt root. So stilt root also are very thick. They grow obliquely from the basal nodes of the main stem. This we can see in the Sacrum officinarum, that is karumbu. So since the stem becomes stronger and heavy, to give some extra support from the nodal region which are at the base of the stem, these roots grow and they give some extra support for the plant. Other examples are Ziames, Pandanus, and Rhizophora. Thirdly, we have climbing or the clinging roots. These roots are produced from the nodal region of the stem, and they will attach themselves to the support, which will help the plant to climb over the support. So these roots will ensure a foothold on the support by secreting a sticky juice, which when dries up in the air attaches these roots to the support. Example, piper beetle or money plant, Epipremnum pinnatum. Fourthly, we have buttress root. Buttress root are found in the silk cotton trees, which will grow very tall and high, having heavy trunk, and they will have a broad plank-like outgrowth towards the base of the stem all around the trunk, and they grow obliquely downward and give support to the huge trunks of the tree. Example, bombax. Next we have the adventitious root modification for vital function. In that first one is epiphytic or velamen root. So vital function, they take up a very important function for the plant. This epiphytic root, they are having a tissue, a special type of tissue which is spongy, called as velamen tissue, and this tissue will help in the absorption of the moisture from the surrounding air, and they will grow hanging freely in the air. This epiphytic plants will grow on the trunk of some other trees, and these roots will be hanging in the air freely, by which it can easily absorb the atmosphere from the air. Example, vanda and dendrobium. Next we have the foliar roots. So these roots, foliar means they are arising from the leaves. These roots produce from the veins or the lamina of the leaf. This is to propagate the plant for the formation of the new plant. So buds will be arising from the notches of the leaf margin, and from there these roots, foliar roots, will be growing. Example for this is bryophyllum and begonia. Next vital function is sucking or the ostoreal roots. These roots are found in the parasitic plants like Ascuta, dodder plant. The parasite develop adventitious root from the stem, and they will penetrate into the tissue of the host plant to suck the nutrients. Finally, the photosynthetic or the assimilatory root. And here roots of some climbing plant or epiphytic plant, they will possess the chlorophyll and they turn green in color and help in the photosynthesis. Example, Tinospora. Shoot system. The plumule of the embryo in a germinating seed grows into stem. The epicotyle elongates into the axis. Epicotyle elongates to form the stem and it bears the leaves from its tips. This contains actively dividing cells of the shoot called apical meristem. The cells divide further and the growth results in the formation of the mass of tissue called leaf primordium. The point at which the leaf arises on the stem is called the node. The region between two adjacent nodes is called as internodes. So the point at which the leaf arises on the stem is called node, and the region in between two adjacent nodes is called as internode. What are the characteristic features of a stem? The stem is aerial, it is above the ground, green in color and photosynthetic. It engages itself in the photosynthesis. And it has nodes and internodes. It is positively phototropic and negatively geotropic. It grows towards the sunlight and positively phototropic and grows away from the gravity, and it is negatively geotropic. It has nodes and internodes. Stem bears vegetative buds for the vegetative growth of the plant, floral buds for the reproduction, and it will end in a terminal bud. The young stem will be green in color and it carries out photosynthesis. During reproductive growth, the stem will bear flowers and the fruits, and branches will arise exogenously from outward on the stem. The stem bears multicellular hairs which are of different types. Now the functions of the stem. Again it is classified into the primary function and the secondary function. Primary functions include providing the support, bearing the leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. It transports the water and minerals from the root to other parts of the plant. It will transport the food prepared by the leaves to other parts of the plant body. What are the secondary functions? The stem is modified for food storage, example Solanum tuberosum, Colocasia, gingiber, officinale, and perennation or reproduction. So perennation means the stem will be remaining dormant under the soil and during the unfavorable condition, and once again when the favorable condition returns, it will germinate and become the aerial plant. Aerial shoot will be developing from it, and this is also used as a organ of perennation and organ of reproduction for vegetative propagation. And water storage. Water is stored in the stem of the desert plant, example Opuntia. Buoyancy in Neptunia. So buoyancy in aquatic plants helps to balance and helps the plant to float on the water. Stem helps in photosynthesis when it bears a photosynthetic pigment called chlorophyll, example Opuntia, Ruscus, Euphorbia, etc. And stem also helps in protection by having modification in it like thorns and spines like citrus, bougainvillea, acacia. It helps to support, example Passiflora, Cissus quadrangularis, etc. Stem modification. So stem modification is again classified into aerial stem modification, subaerial stem modification, and underground modification. So aerial stem which is above the soil, which is in the atmospheric air. Subaerial which is on the soil, on the surface of the soil, and underground which is under the soil. So aerial modification, it is again classified into creepers, trailers, climbers, phylloclade, cladode, and thorns. Subaerial modification are runners, stolons, suckers, and offset. And underground modifications bulb, corm, rhizome, and tuber. Aerial modification, creepers. So these are plants growing closer horizontally to the ground, and they produce root at each node, example Centella, Cynodon, Dactylon, they are of grass families. Trailers or stragglers, they say it is a weak stem that spread over the surface of the ground without rooting at the nodes, and this is again of three types, namely prostrate, procumbent, a stem that grows flat on the ground, Indigofera prostrata. Decumbent, here the stem will grow flat but it becomes erect during reproductive stage. When it wants to produce a flower during the reproductive stage, it will become erect, example Tridax. Third one, diffuse, this is a trailing stem with spreading branches, example Borhavia diffusa. Next modifications are climbers. These plants will have weak stem and they produce a special organ for the attachment for climbing over a support. Climbing over a support. The climbing helps to display the leaves towards the sunlight and to position the flower for effective pollination. Types of climbers. There are 6 types of climbers, namely the root climbers, example Piper nigrum. Stem climbers. Here these climbers will have specialized structure for climbing and the stem itself will coil around the support. This is again classified into dextrose and sinistros. If the coiling of the climber is clockwise, then it is called dextrose. If the coiling is anti-clockwise, then it is called sinistros. Dextrose example Dioscorea alata. Sinistros example Dioscorea bulbifera. Next, hook climbers. These plants will produce specialized hook-like structure which are the modification of the various organs of the plant. Atrabotries. Inflorescence axes are modified into hooks. In calamus, the curved hooks or the leaf tips are modified into hooks. In begonia, the leaflets are modified into curved hooks. In hugonia, the axillary buds are modified into hooks. Next, thorn climbers. The climbing and recycling on the support with the help of thorns. Example, bougainvillea, Kahida puchedi. Lianas, woody stem climbers. Here the woody perennial climbers found on the tropical forests are called lianas. They twine themselves around the tall trees to get the light. Tendril climbers. Tendrils are the thread-like coiling structures which will help the plant to climb. The tendrils may be modifications of a stem in vitis and cissus quadrangularis. It may be the modification of inflorescence axis in Antigonon, modification of leaf into tendril in Lathyrus, modification of leaflet in Pisum sativum, modification of petiole into tendril Clematis, and modification of the leaf tip into tendril is in Gloriosa. Stipules are modified as tendril in Smilax. In pitcher plant, that is Nepenthes, the midrib of the leaf often coil around a support like tendril and holds the pitcher plant in the vertical position. Next modification is called phylloclade. So these are green flattened cylindrical or angled stem or branches of the unlimited growth. Consist of a series of nodes and internodes. It is adaptation of the xerophytes where the leaves often fall off, leaves will fall off and they are modified into spines to reduce the transpiration, modified into spines or scales to reduce the transpiration. And phylloclade take overall functions of the leaves, particularly photosynthesis, and so they are called as cladophyll. Example, Opuntia, Phylocactus, Casuarina, Euphorbia thirkalli and Euphorbia antiquarum. Cladode, it is a flattened cylindrical stem but with 1 or 2 internodes only. The stem nature is evident by the fact that they bear the bud scales and flowers. Example, asparagus. Thorns, it is a woody and sharp pointed modified stem. Either axillary or terminal bud gets modified into thorns. Example, citrus.